There's the mic. Hello, everyone. I hope you did not have a crazy morning like I'm having here in the last minute or two, trying to make sure this microphone works. Had to reset everything and work it out that way again instead of just coming out live. And you can't really tell until right as it's happening once you turn it on and go live that the mic is not working, and it's some kind of setup that is with OBS itself, which is a system that pumps it out to YouTube. Good morning. I am Brian Burden, your meteorologist, Lafayette's very own winter weather expert and meteorologist, Brian Burden. I have been all over the globe forecasting weather for the last 40 years, and I want to bring some of that knowledge to you and let you know what's going on in the local area here. Plus, talk some sports and some any kind of anything that you would like. Local gatherings, local stuff that's going on in Lafayette, world news. You bring it here. We'll talk about it on our chat. And we will just enjoy everything that we do see and do today, because it is, yes, it is a Friday. I call it Free for All Fridays because I'll do just about anything. I'll wear anything. I'll talk anything. Of course, I'll do that anytime anyways, but we'll call it Free for All Fridays. Why? Because we want to have some cool name set up for it that we would like to have and that we would like people to see and hear about us. So that's what's going on, at least on that main front. Let's dive right into the weather, because we were expecting some kind of weather here this morning. And as usual, it doesn't always go to plan, does it? Here's what we will be looking for and what I will be running into as the day goes on today, and what you will be running into. Now, the first off, and the first thing I do see is it is 25 degrees outside. That is warm compared to where we have been as of late. Of course, it's been very chilly. It's been very pretty much kind of what we would call far below normal temperature wise in Lafayette and Indiana, and all across the Midwest through the eastern half of the United States for the last month, it seems like. I ran the stat yesterday that we have only hit our high temperature, the average high temperature, one time in the last 21 days. And we are currently on a 16, now 17-day current streak of not hitting the actual average high temperature for this date or that time that you were, say, 3 weeks ago, or so on and so forth. But we do see some warmth starting to push back into the picture. We're talking about that for next week. We have a system in the area right now. There still is an advisory in effect. Well, we'll call it that. Here's what it is. It is a snow statement put out by the National Weather Service. And it says, basically, a mix of light snow and patchy light freezing drizzle is expected to push through central Indiana this morning, mainly after 7 a.m., with snow accumulations amounting to less than an inch for most folks. Oh, new statement popping in as we speak. Let's see. A mix of light snow and patchy light freezing drizzle is expected to push through central Indiana this morning. This is their snow statement, valid till 10 o'clock, so another hour or so. Snow accumulations up to an inch are possible, mainly north and east of Indianapolis, and untreated roadways may become slick if traveling. You can kind of see those areas there where they're popping up. Lafayette being right here. That's where it is on the picture, and it's all of northern Indiana and back down towards Indianapolis is where we are seeing that weather here this morning. So different spots in different areas. We're going to pop into the satellite picture here real quick, and we'll show you what's going on that front and what you're going to be seeing there. So what I'm seeing right now is exactly what we were talking about yesterday when we were talking about the system and the potential for some snowfall, and that it was such a narrow band, it was going to be very hard to pinpoint that it was actually Lafayette, even though the model put us as the center of the bullseye. That it would be very easy to be just 50 miles to our northwest, or our northeast, or to our southwest. And that is exactly what has happened here this morning, as we have kind of pushed it out and about the local area. And it's gone to our northeast of us right now is where the heaviest snowfall is. Right, that's where the heaviest snowfall. Now, this is your satellite, and look at the big open spaces out to our west in the Great Plains. Big high pressure starting to dominate out to our west. Us in Lafayette, though, right now, we've got the cloud cover moving through, and it looks like the main band of precipitation is already pushed past us, and we're gonna just get into the clouds, and you notice the flow is coming down the lake again. So the angles will dictate whether we get flurries and some light snow on top of what we've already had. Very little accumulation, if any, left over. And we're also starting to pick up this big batch of low clouds I can see right here. This lighter gray area in Wisconsin over into Iowa, southern Minnesota, now moving into northern Illinois. There's a gap between this batch of clouds, which is more higher clouds here in the mid levels over Indiana, and this lower batch of clouds. There's an open spot right there in central Illinois, and then it gets cloudy back off to the north west of us. And that will probably drag itself into our area as it rotates around everything. But you notice this is kind of like getting onto a freeway, right? You got all this fast movement right here, and then look at how everything slows down and gets jumbled and crushed against a high pressure system and another system out towards the East Coast. And then everything gets bottled up in West Virginia, and that's where some of the snows and some of the worst weather for the day are going to occur. If you happen to be heading to the East Coast, you're going to run into some of that kind of weather as the day goes on today. But let's zoom in. Let's go a little closer. We want to see what's happening locally, right? And then we'll zoom into Illinois, and you can see there you go. So here's the grays up in Wisconsin, southern Minnesota. Those are low clouds. This darker patches back towards St. Louis is probably more open sky. And then here we have more mid-level clouds with low clouds under it that we can't see because of the actual clouds above it kind of pushing through the spectrum there and not being able to see what's below it, which is pretty common, right? So now I'm going to change to a different one, and this one kind of shows you pretty easily. It's called microphysics, and what you'll notice is at the end is the sun coming across, right? So it starts to change what you're seeing. But you easily can pick out the open spots on this pretty easily here in the middle of the night. You can pick out the low clouds as being white, and you can pick out your higher clouds as being a different shade of color, some even red after the sun rises, and some greens there. But you can see the mixtures. Lafayette being right here in this spot. So with that, we see that it looks like we're going to have mostly cloudy skies today with some spotty sunshine at times. This is just by looking at the satellite. I haven't even looked at the model to tell you for sure that that's exactly what we're going to be seeing during this time frame. But you can see that through this shot right here and how it has worked. Also now, we told you yesterday that there was potential for snowfall today, and there could be some ice mixed in that. And a few miles either direction was going to make a big difference, and that's exactly what happened. But I want you to look at here on the radar shot is, of course, here's where Lafayette is, and look at the texture differences in what you're seeing for the moisture, okay? First off, this is a pretty big band of snowfall, came through pretty heavy. The first thing I notice is it's not orientated northwest to southeast like it looked yesterday. It's more of a east-west look, and it's moving in the direction that it showed yesterday. So it's a little broader, it's a little wider. It still shows the cutoff off to our west, around the state line or so. And then look at the yellows and the greens that you see in there. But look at the texture, and I'm going to stop this when it's up near Lafayette here on the first picture. Okay. So what we see here is you notice the intensities, these little bright spots here, right? And I have told you in the past that snow is harder to pick up for radars and rain is easier, but ice is an easier, it can be seen easier on the radar. So you are seeing a little pocket of ice that ran right through Lafayette early this morning, down through Crawfordsville, almost straight down I-65 towards Indianapolis. What will that do to our roads? I'm not out there myself, so it's hard to say. But be cautious on our corners, our streets, because there could be a small low layer of ice that fell on top, and then maybe some snow fell on top of that as the system moved through. We see it move through pretty quickly, and you can kind of see the texture. See how the texture is different right in there? And that's generally a good indicator that there is ice mixed in. And this would be exactly where the model showed it, except it's now 50 miles to the northeast of where it showed it yesterday. Yesterday, it showed the ice more over towards Danville, Petersburg, over towards Champaign, and not as close to us. But that, remember, I told you it could be very close. The good news is it doesn't look like it's a ton right now. We're not getting a lot of reports of of really, really bad roads. And I noticed that the guys were out, the plows, with the brine on all the roads everywhere. So that should help too. And our warmer temperatures, actually getting a little bit warmer as the day goes on today, that will help out too. Meanwhile, not much for snow behind the system. We've cleared up pretty easily. And then we have some snow over in eastern Indiana, south of Fort Wayne right now, moving off towards the southeast. Nothing coming off of the lake right now, which is pretty interesting. We'll have to see how that develops as the day goes on. Probably just north of this chart, we are seeing some snow coming off of the lake. And for the foreseeable future, that's what they'll be seeing in Michigan, like they do all year round, it seems like. All right, so let's go to where we are now. Here's the system kind of crashing through our area. We can see it pretty easily. I'm on the broad picture just to give you an idea of what we'll be talking about over the next 48 hours. And this is the 48-hour HER. It's the 12Z run, which runs for 48 hours. And let's go out and see what we see. What we see is not much during the day today. Here we are, 18Z. Now we're starting to pick up some flow off of the lake around 3 o'clock this afternoon. There we go. Just some chances. And I see a little bit of green and a little bit of purple and the bluish colors there. So a rain snow mix potential, and then just kind of filters in and out of the area through the night tonight, off the lake again tomorrow. And most of us know we get very little accumulation out of this type of snowfall. We get just some flurries a lot of times, but it can be in little patches where it's streaky, where you'll run a mile where the visibility just drops off and you're like, where did all the snow come from? And then 2 miles later, you're out of it. That's the kind of thing you'll see. Meanwhile, I don't see anything else behind the system. So just the flow off the lake, which kind of shuts itself off by tomorrow evening and then is pretty quiet as we head into the Sunday early morning hours, with a high pressure system settling in right over southern Iowa and northern Missouri, which should bring us some pretty decent weather, I would think. Very cold, of course, at first. Here's your first cold shot, right? But what is the cold compared to what it was just 2 weeks ago when it was -10s to our north? Now the temperatures are more modified, getting back closer to normal. So still chilly and below normal, but not nearly as cold as it was just a couple weeks ago. So that's the big front there, and the big high that's coming in. Also notice the tight gradient in the isobars here. Notice how they're very close to each other, especially over Illinois and then heading towards Indiana on Sunday. And take a look at where they are today, too. See how tight they are coming across Indiana here this afternoon, especially. We're going to see some strong gusty winds there. And I'll get into that too, because that seems to be our biggest player after we get rid of the little bit of light snow and the potential for some freezing rain on the ground or some ice there. If you are northeast of Lafayette, say Logansport, up towards Warsaw, that kind of thing, you got some of the snowfall that fell this morning. I'm going to zoom in now. Let's go in closer to the close section and the close sector so we can see some more details pretty easy. Lafayette is right about here. Got to always show you where that is so you can see it on the map pretty easily. One of these days I'm going to figure out how it will lock a indicator right over Lafayette, but because I'm using free information through the College of DuPage, it doesn't show that easily. I might show it on the windy charts one of these days. I'll show you those too. All right, so here we are zoomed in this morning, right? This was 8 o'clock, and the snow kind of passing through 9, 10, 11, and then it kind of clears out. And look at this, not much there. We might even get a couple open spots with that sun. We saw it on the satellite. There were some spots there, but here's the low clouds coming in that were up in Wisconsin and Iowa on the satellite picture. Here they are pressing themselves towards us with that flow down the lake too. And just like yesterday, we see streaks. We see streaks of coming off the lake of snowfall in different places, and very limited in amounts. A little batch of maybe a wave, something this evening passes through, and then we're back to more lake effect snow more than anything else. And then that just kind of falls apart, and we get into some pretty decent weather for a little while as the high develops. Let's check out snow totals on this. And as you can see, look at where it is. It's all now northeast of Lafayette, where yesterday we were in this streak yesterday, right? Today we are not. We are not in it at all. It missed us. We get maybe a tenth to a quarter of an inch possible through 2 days. And that's going to be very hit and miss as it comes off the lake. If you're up in LaPorte County, Lake County, Porter County, South Bend area, yes, you're going to see snowfall up there of 2 to 5 inches, possibly, especially in some pockets. And again, look how it's streaky, right? How you can see it coming there. And I've said the story before. I can remember driving to Chicago through lake effect snows and it being sunny. And then for like 5 miles, it's just pouring snow. And then boom, you pop back out, it's sunny again. And you're like, what's going on? And 2 miles later, you're back in the snow. And that's what lake effect snows do. And some of that can push all the way down to Lafayette. And with some low cloud cover potential in there for later today, especially blocking out the sun. And we saw that on the satellite being off to our north. We could get some flurries out of that because you can get flurries out of low clouds just about any time of the year in your winter months. That is, December, January, February is your best time frame for some very light snowfall to fall through that. All right. So I also said we're going to have to worry about some gusty winds today, but let's take a look at the temperatures in close to us here this morning. So here we are. We're hovering around that 30-31 mark. When I go back and look at it, we are currently at 26 degrees. 26 degrees in Lafayette. And that is what, 9 o'clock in the morning. I go to the 9 o'clock shot. Boom. And there it is. And it shows us at 25. There we go. Lafayette, right about there. 25 degrees. So it's pretty accurate. It's close. It's within a degree or so. And it does try to warm us up. There's a pocket of the warmer air, even though I didn't like the way the flow was showing yesterday. And how would we get the warmer temperatures to our north? They kind of maintained underneath the cloud bands last night as the warmer flow was able to push up in there yesterday to our north and to our northwest. And now some of that's going to get dragged into our area today. And watch how we warm up a little bit. Here we are at about 11 o'clock. It's 31. It's 33 by noon. Man, nice and warm, huh? And there we are. Maybe the first time we've hit the actual average high temperature in 17 days, possibly this afternoon, with a high temperature somewhere in the mid to upper 30s, and then kind of cooling off again later on tonight. So it shows that high of 36, and that is what? That is about 4 o'clock this afternoon. That kind of fits pretty well. We can kind of see where the cloud cover might be by that time frame. And we may still be in the open and the cloud cover is trying to stretch down and come down through the lake from Wisconsin, Minnesota, that area. Or we could already be in it by that time frame. But it does look like we're going to hit the mid 30s this afternoon. And that would be very close to normal, if not normal. And then we cool off a little bit overnight. And we still see this flow coming down the lake and around the lake. And now we're pulling colder temperatures from the north. Look at some single digits up over Michigan by later on this evening. And then here we are into the early morning hours tomorrow morning. And just as the scenario has been set up many times over the last couple of weeks, we are tomorrow morning with a stream of clouds coming off the lake down to the south, right over Lafayette. Shows Lafayette's temperature tomorrow morning, somewhere around 16 to 17, 18 degrees. But look at this, a cold pocket to our east, a cold pocket to our west, very cold to our northwest and to our northeast. So all dictated by what's happening with the lake. It's helping us stay a little warmer overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And if you're doing something tomorrow during the day, we take that 17 and we try to warm it up in the afternoon, only back into it looks like the lower 20s. So there's that reinforcing shot of cooler air coming into the picture. Well, today is your one day of warm up, then you're back to cold again, at least unseasonably below normal temperatures. And then it kind of hangs in there until Sunday morning. And Sunday morning, we're still the same. We're still only in the teens for our lows, much better than -5 like we saw last week. So all in all, temperature wise, it looks pretty good. But I said we were going to have some problems with wind gusts. So let's take a look back at that. Let's see where we are now. Here we are at 9 o'clock this morning, and it doesn't look bad at all, right? We're talking anywhere from 3 to about 15. It shows 14 for gusts to 15 in the local area here in Lafayette. So that's about 15 to 20 miles an hour, depending on the actual speed itself. I can see the pocket of some gustier winds back towards our northwest over northern Illinois. And then we kind of push out an hour or two. And look at this, literally by 11 to 12 o'clock, we're already now pushing our wind speeds to 23 to 25 knots, upwards of 30 miles an hour. There's a big pocket of 30 down through central Illinois. So if you're driving through there and you happen to be in that local area around there, you're going to see some strong gusty winds, and keep that in mind as you drive through heading towards St. Louis today if you happen to be doing that. And it stays pretty gusty. Unlike yesterday, it doesn't show us getting into the pocket of 30s until later, and it barely kind of misses us. Look at this. This is 5 o'clock this afternoon. 5 o'clock this afternoon shows us with gusts of 27, so it's going to be gusty out there. But look at this, pockets of 35 to 36, even 40 miles an hour. So these are knots. Remember, nautical is what we use in weather, and then we just kind of convert it over to miles per hour so you can understand it. So 27 knots is roughly 32, 33 miles an hour. All right. But then you get over here when you see 35 knots. Now we're talking 40 miles an hour in this pocket somewhere around Logansport later this afternoon into this evening. And then watch as it moves. There it goes. It kind of pushes down to the south of us, but there's more right behind it. Look at that. We get a little reprieve. And then by about 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, we're back into the 30 gusting range. So it's going to be a windy night overnight tonight. And as we get a little farther away, and it starts to die down a little tomorrow, but we're still 28 to 30. So very gusty and windy day still on tap for us tomorrow. And that kind of hangs on until very early in the morning, and then we start to die away. So late tonight into tomorrow morning, we start to die back down into the single digits. This is 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, 15Z. And I see here's the influence of the high, right? The high was setting up in southern Wisconsin, and we were going to see it eventually move its way down into Illinois. But look at the speeds around the center of the high. Okay, so what you get, and this is another quick learner. Look at the speeds here as it crosses down and near us. It goes to single digits by tomorrow afternoon. 19Z. So we're talking about 2 in the afternoon tomorrow. This is going to go dead calm or close to it, right? Not much for winds. And then we pick up a little bit more tomorrow night into Sunday back to kind of normal. But I want you to notice, first off, you could see the circulation around the high, right? This is a high pressure system moving in, and it's kind of the winds around it. High pressure systems tend to circulate in a clockwise manner in the northern hemisphere and in a counterclockwise manner in the southern hemisphere. So I've had to work in both jurisdictions, and for many years I worked in Antarctica, had to work on highs spinning the opposite direction down there. Of course, that has to do with the rotation of the Earth, the Coriolis effect, that kind of thing. A lot of you learned that in school when you were in school. And the high pressure system itself being clockwise here and the low pressure being counterclockwise, here's a simple thing to remember. Lows pull everything into the center, right? They circulate and they pull everything into the center of them. So you see a lot of all your moisture is being pulled into the low. All your heat is being pulled into the low. High pressure is opposite. It's a spot and everything is circulating around it, but it's circulating away from the center of the high pressure system. Hence, you see angles like this where the winds are going up and away, up and away. Now, over here across the lake, we think of it as coming down because it's coming from the north. But look how it's going away from the high pressure system. And all your speeds are out away. And a low pressure system, and we'll go closer to where we were today, we don't have any real circulations, but we can see that there's plenty of bigger speeds with troughs and low pressure systems when they come through. You get a little bit of the kinks right here. You can kind of see that as this frontal boundary of the winds come through. So that's just an indication a little bit. Highs spin clockwise in the northern hemisphere, and the atmosphere, everything inside the high is going away from the high, being taken away. So when you take moisture away, you take clouds away, you take everything away, you get beautiful blue skies. Big blue high means big blue sky to me. That's the way I kind of remembered it when I was a kid. Where low pressure systems are red, right? The lows are red, and everything circles into the center, and that's where you get your buildups of your clouds, you get your buildups of your showers, and that kind of thing. That's a real basic, easy way to remember it if you're struggling with it at times. All right. So there's that. Now, this is going out to Sunday. Let's check the NAM real quick here and see what it's saying. And the NAM's going back to it mixes in temperatures along with the winds when it shows it. And it's showing the same temperatures for Sunday morning. And it's not showing a lot. It's only at 60% right now. So let's see here. Let's go out to the European model. Now, the European model is old. It's about 5 hours old right now, and it'll be coming in pretty consistently here pretty soon. And it shows the high pressure a little bit more out towards our west, out over Missouri, more than anything else. And then it kind of brings it in and across and passes under us. And Monday looks pretty decent. Here's some warmth. Look at the warmth there. Monday, Monday afternoon with 50s, not very far from Lafayette at all. And then as we get into Tuesday, here comes some 50. Look at that. Hey, those of you down near, I keep saying Petersburg, Danville, Champaign, you're going to be in the 50s, it looks like, by Tuesday. And there's potential for us to get there too on Tuesday, maybe even into Wednesday. It looks a little colder. There's another quick shot. Um, Ups and downs, lots of ups and downs the next week. We'll drop cold, then we'll go up warm, then we'll drop cold, then we'll go up warm. That's kind of what you're going to be seeing. Let's take a look at the precipitation amounts during this time frame too. We go back out to where we are now. So here we are this morning, the system passing by. This is a European model. Just kind of shows those flurries coming off the lake and some low clouds through tomorrow, right? Just a kind of gloomy atmosphere, but I do think we'll see some spots of sun, especially the farther west you go out towards the state line. High kind of comes over us. You can see it right there tomorrow night. And then we start to see the flow coming up from the south, but there's no moisture. Look at this. No snowfall, no rain, no nothing around us. A little system bumps to our north. It looks like Sunday. And then again, more of the same. Here's what I'm encouraged by. The flow is a lot of the time is out of the southwest. So we keep an eye on this system. There goes the high goes by. Boom, boom, boom. Nothing really happening. And then here's a little system starting to gen up for next Thursday. So this is Wednesday night around midnight. We start to see some snowfall or rainfall at this point. And oh, here's your 540 line up to the north, right? So this is all rain right now, setting up for next Wednesday night into Thursday. That's definitely a change. That's definitely something we haven't seen in a while, is the potential for rain there. Now, when we go back and we try to find, let's see, some snow accumulations, it only shows an inch and a half for us. And it's probably all in this first system. See that? Look at that. The European model said we would get an inch and a half of snow out of this system as it went by here today. And that really didn't happen. Temperature wise, what has it been saying? We saw that it warms us up, then it cools us off, then it warms us up, then it cools us off. Every other day, it seems like we'll be seeing one or the other. So like today, we're hitting our average, or we're going to be very close to our average high. Tomorrow it'll be colder, right? So that's Saturday. Maybe Sunday we're back up near the high again, and then Monday we're back to colder, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week looks like a warming trend for most of us during that time frame. And for that, we'll go look at the GFS. And the GFS kind of shows these are the temperatures where we at. We're at Sunday evening here, right? And then we're into Monday. Monday shows that about 35. Then there's boom, warm up Tuesday afternoon, right? Look at that. It does show 50 basically for Lafayette during that time frame. That's Tuesday, and then Wednesday, the high is back into the 30s. And then let's see what happens on Friday. Does Friday warm up? Nope, stays a little chilly. Then it warms up a little bit by Saturday next week. So you can see this. Here we are Saturday and Sunday. We're back into the 40s again. So lots of ups and downs with our temperatures in the next week or 2 weeks on the long range. Not seeing a big push of lots of cold air anywhere, and not seeing a big push of lots of warm air, but warmer air than we have been seeing. This looks pretty good and confident in here. I like that. All of us are wanting some warmth. We can use it after a pretty long stretch of cold. Here we are way out, February 21st in the evening. This would be the 20th, the Friday night at around 7 o'clock, and it's still 50 degrees that day. So pretty warm that day. So those are the trends of being, generally speaking, warmer as we go through that. And not a lot of systems in there, right? Let's go back a little bit for the GFS and change it over to actual precipitation. There we go. And see what it says on the long range out there as we go farther. There's that system middle of next week. It stays south of us. This is something to keep an eye on, right? While both the European model and now the GFS are showing it to our south, with Lafayette being right about here, it's close enough that we got to keep an eye on it. Plus, it's 5 days out, right? What are our variations? look at the variation we saw yesterday from a system we saw pretty clearly coming through and actually being about 50 miles northeast of where it said it would be. Big difference in your weather from those kind of things. So we'll keep an eye on this. I say that all the time. That's consistent with weather guys that got to watch what's going on, how it's building, and where it's going from day to day. Once you keep track of it on a daily basis, you usually have a pretty good idea. But here we are out through next Thursday. Next week, it's quiet. There's not much happening. I don't see any big systems. That one had gone to our south. Now we're starting to build up into next Sunday evening. Here's a system right here trying to come through. And what I do see though is look at the 540 line is right here. And if you remember the 540 line, anything to the north or to the east of that generally is snow, and anything to the south or west of that is generally rainfall. And it shows a pretty big pocket on Sunday night, next Sunday night, coming into the Lafayette area. Long ways away, but we'll keep an eye on that, try to watch what happens. Then it gets warm again right away. Now we're talking rain by next Tuesday into Wednesday, the 18th and 19th, 10 days away already. And so I only see one or two systems. And then right at the end, February 21st in the evening, going into the night, you'll see a big system trying to push into the area. Mostly rain right now. Very typical for the end of February, potential that could go either direction. And that is a long ways out. So now we're talking 14, 15, 16 days out. Can't count on any of that actually happening or being where it says it will be during that time frame. So that's where your models are standing right now. Back to where we were earlier, a quick shot of the satellite to show you what's going on there. You can see the clouds. There is some open area to our west. Will we get into that? Hard to say. I see a lot of clouds coming in from the north up here. And the reason the color changes is because the sun is starting to rise, right? So let's go to a visible shot real quick. Which one do I like here the best? Oh, I like the day cloud phase. And what you'll notice is, boom, you start to pick up clouds at the end. And then I'm going to stop it on the last picture. There we go. So here's the stopping on the last picture. Lafayette is right here. We see clouds to our east over here, all over the state of Ohio. This band of clouds is what went through us in the last few hours. Had some ice in it, had some snow in it, dropped it over Lafayette, back towards Logansport, back off towards Fort Wayne. We see some open spots here or there in northern Illinois, and then just about everywhere in southern Illinois is open. No cloud cover down there at all. And we also see a lot of cloud cover right here, stretching from the middle of Iowa over to what we're talking Des Moines and which one is the one on there? Can't remember it. You guys let me know what it is. All the way to southern Chicago, though. And this is all moving to the south. And this is what we'll get entangled with as we go through the day today. And you can see some of that low clouds all the way here to Champaign, but some open spots here or there. So I anticipate to see mostly clouds all day, and then a few spots of open here or there. And then this cloud batch moving in and dragging in maybe a flurry or two off and on here or there over the next 24 to 36 hours. Little to no accumulations, but still, please keep an eye out on your travel and where you've seen and what you've been seeing, because the roads still may have some type of glaze on it. Let's zoom in a little closer. There you go. Lafayette right here. There's that patch of open to our northwest in Illinois. See a lot of low clouds in and around Lafayette. All the stuff that went through this morning has now passed off south of Indianapolis. Let's take a look at the radar real quick. There it is. Look at that. South of Indy already opening up nicely. No real precipitation involved. And we are looking good on that front. So let's bring it back out. Let's see what's going on. We talked a lot of weather already this morning. I know you guys enjoy the weather part of it, and I enjoy much of the other things also, not just the weather part of it, right? So we talked through a good system that came through this morning. Now I want to talk some sports like I always do. If Ray's out there, talking some Purdue sports and some different things that are happening, some exciting things. First off, the men's basketball, the women lost a game the other day, but that team is kind of in and out. They're working on it. I think that team's going to be really good next year. The ladies, Boilermakers. And obviously, the men are a really, really good team, but they had a 3-game losing streak, and now they picked it up. And they've got a ball game tomorrow during the day, all right, against Oregon coming into town. And they're in the midst of this streak where it's 2 games on the road, one at home, 2 games on the road, one at home, 2 games on the road. So 6 out of 8 games on the road. And of course, they lost a couple of those already. And I started noticing and looking at every single team in the Big Ten, and just about every single team in the Big Ten has lost at home. And Purdue's lost at home twice already this season, someplace where it's very hard to come and play. So that's if they can shore that up and win out the rest of the season at home and win almost every game on the road, they still have a shot at the Big Ten championship. My worries is there's so many teams up there. It's not just one team or two you're trying to catch. There's 4 of them in front of you between Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, and Illinois. One of those is going to come out and maybe only lose 1 or 2 games, and you could win out, right? Purdue could win out the rest of their games and still not win the championship at 17-3. So that's something to keep in mind. But they got to try it, right? You got to go for it. The goal is to win the next game, which is tomorrow. Then the game after that will be Tuesday, right? So on and so forth. So and that's where they are. But this time of the year, they start coming out with all these awards, these guys that are on lists that could win the Cousy Award or could win the best point guard in the country. Now, Braden Smith is on a ton of those. National Player of the Year potential there, all that. But Trey Kaufman-Wren has now also been named to the Malone Award semifinalist list. And remember, Trey last year was one of the top scoring uh, people at his position in the country. He was scoring over 20 points a game. This year, he's focused more on rebounding and not as much on scoring. Now, when they need him, he's still doing it as needed, but he's trying to let the team do what the team can do, and he thinks it'll be better for them. And I'm sure he's talked with the coach about this. So we've seen a ton more rebounding from Trey. TKR has been on the boards big time, lots of games with double digit rebounds, but his scoring's been down. I think that may hurt him on the Malone Award semifinalist list, where if he was scoring like last year and rebounding like he is this year, he would be right at the top of that list, I believe, because he'd be scoring close to 20 points. And right now he's at 13 or 14. There's nothing wrong with that at all because he's closing in on 8, 9, 10 rebounds per game, which is nice. And then you tack on Clough on the other side, getting some rebounds. They're quite the duo, the two of them. But in the country, they're two of the best at any given time. So it's cool that he's on the semifinalist list. There's a lot of activities going on for the teams over the next week or two. Everybody gets back on schedule. Purdue the men had kind of a 1-game reprieve where they didn't play. Like a lot of times they play on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or they play Saturday, Sunday, right? And they play twice a week. This is the week they only played once, and they'll be playing Saturday for that, it looks like. Braden Smith was named for the Cousy Award semifinalist, and TKR was named for the Malone Award semifinalist there. So Purdue bounced back against Maryland on Saturday. Then they're going a whole week till they play Oregon at home tomorrow. That looks to be an exciting game. Oregon kind of a bottom feeder, not playing very well at all in the Big Ten. So it looks like 1 o'clock tomorrow, and I see CBS is where you're going to be able to find it. So it seems like it'll be on WLFI if you're wanting to see the game tomorrow. All kinds of good pluses there. Hopefully it'll get them even stronger and better, get them back on the mainstay of being with each other. They got a little off track here or there. They're struggling with some of the defenses, and other teams took advantage of that. And basically, a lot of that is other teams watching film and figuring out how to get to Purdue, and now Purdue's shoring it up, getting back to where they were to figure out how to play defense, and they better, right? And they did that against Maryland over the weekend. They're going to try to do it again against Oregon as they have big games next week, going out to Nebraska and Iowa next week. And then Indiana comes right back into town the game after that. So that's 10, 12 days out. And you have Michigan State still coming and Michigan still coming. So those 3 games still at home. Meanwhile, you're going out to Nebraska and out to Iowa next week after the game of Oregon coming to town this week. So a lot going on the front there for the Purdue guys. I know some folks that work there. I worked there last year for some of the games. It was fun to do, and they're enjoying their time getting to help out the men's basketball team and make a little money on the side at the same time. All right, what's going on around the world and around Lafayette? Well, the Indiana State Police are now offering some internships for those interested in a career in forensic services. So if you like that kind of thing, the CSI kind of people, it looks like Indiana's needing some of that. The State Police Crime Scene Investigations (CSI) internship program is an observational and experiential program designed for college students who are pursuing a career in forensic science. This opportunity provides a learning environment based on the job experience while working closely with CSIs in all realms of investigations today. So the interns will gain an understanding of the daily operational demands of the Indiana State Police from both an administrative and field enforcement perspective, how their CSI works. Pretty interesting. I like that. If that's something you're into, it's cool that they have an intern program that you may be able to work on and learn some information about that as you're trying to maybe get into that field as it is. There is an Amber Alert out right now issued this morning. An Amber Alert has been issued for a 2-year-old boy from northern Indiana, North Judson to be specific. That's in Stark County. And the alert lists the victim as 2-year-old Saxon Clemens. He was last seen wearing a blue and gray sweatshirt and blue and gray sweatpants, and he was last seen Thursday, February 5th at 3 p.m. in North Judson. The suspect that they're looking for is listed as 44-year-old Dwayne Clement. He was last seen driving a silver 2017 Chevrolet Trailblazer with Indiana license plate CRS 242. So be on the lookout for that. Police believe Saxon to be in extreme danger. So that's not good. That Saxon is in some danger. And that just came out this morning for the Amber Alert for it since he's been missing since yesterday. Be on the lookout for that. And maybe we can help out and get everybody back. It sounds like that's dad. Dad's having some problems. Let's get dad back on the mental state properly and get Saxon back with his family too, and get everybody fixed in that. So there's something that's going on that front right now. What are there some things to do in the local area here? Well, here's something I found rather interesting. The Lafayette Indoor Winter Farmers Market is to take place this weekend at the 501 Bistro Atrium. All right. Now, the Lafayette Farmers Market is preparing for another indoor winter market, which they've done just about every year now. From 8 to noon this Saturday, you can shop local vendors, right? And the first 50 guests will receive a free winter market tote bag. The market is family friendly and will also feature live music. And from what I understand, there's been a farmers market in Lafayette since 1839. Man, Raj, you were there to see the opening of that, I think. Roger knew the old joke was coming, and I can do those because I'm old now too. So that's what you do to your friends. You have a little fun with that. Okay, so the farmers market's something you might want to check out, and remember, it is down at the 501 Bistro Atrium on Fifth Street this Saturday from 8 to noon. What else is going on? Well, yesterday we talked a little bit about the comedy gala coming to on Saturday night for mental health initiatives. They're gathering money that for the NAMI West Central Indiana Division. It'll be February 7th at 6 p.m. at the Stables Event Center, and the Purdue comedy troupe, the Crazy Monkeys, will perform. According to a Lafayette Facebook post, local celebrities will also be in attendance. And no, I'm not going. Tickets are now on sale for $70 per seat or $500 per table. I don't know how many people are at the table for that. That if you bought a table, but remember, it's all going to the charity to help out with a lot of the mental health issues that are in the state of Indiana, and just everywhere in the United States that we all seem to be going through on any given day. Here's a new one that I didn't talk about yesterday. Ice skaters to brave the cold in swimsuits for Dare to Bear event. That Dare to Bear event is something that's coming up, and it's sponsored by the West Lafayette Parks and Recreation Department. It's at Riverside Skating Center, and they're inviting everyone to the Dare to Bear event on February 6th. So tomorrow from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And attendees are invited to the Riverside Skating Center for a skating session in swim attire. This year's theme is jungle. Maybe I hang some vines over you or something like that as you're doing it. Additionally, they'll have hot cocoa and pizza will be provided, and that's something that'll be kind of fun if you're interested in skating. You'll be able to do that. I think I talked about this one last week. Exploring the collection Alice Baber or Bobber. I think it's Baber, Alice Baber, to be displayed on February 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. Exploring the collection Alice Baber. It'll be displayed at the Art Museum of Greater Lafayette. She is an abstract expressionist painter. Speakers, historians, and writer Gail Levin will discuss Baber's life and artistic influence. Additionally, Levin will be signing books for the release of Alice Baber, An Artist's Triumph Over Tragedy. And let me see if I can switch over here real quick and show you just a quick picture of uh, what she has and what her vision was and her abstract. There you go. You can kind of see that like that. I do like abstracts from time to time, and I do like the colors in this one. So we'll see about that one on February 17th. So that's what? That's 11 days from now. You'll have the opportunity to go do that and see that from 6 to 7 p.m. And pretty interesting there on that kind of front with that. If you like art, I like art a lot. I'm not sure how many of you do out there, but I'm big into art. I really enjoy it. I enjoy seeing those kind of things, different things. I like doing it myself. I'm not good at it. I just like doing that. I have a daughter-in-law who's an art major, and she's really good at what she does. Check out some of her stuff. I think she's got some Etsy stuff going on out there. She does cards, and she's a beautiful painter. And she's been teaching a few classes here or there with some of her friends. She's been having some fun with that. So exciting on that front there. And maybe you like to paint or you like to build something, and I'm like that. I just don't stick with it long enough. I got to keep doing it. I still like my epoxy resin. Now I'm going to be coming out with some epoxy resin art pieces, and we'll be doing some coffee tables and things like that. And hopefully, pretty soon we'll have a bunch of stuff and sell it here as soon as they open up a booth for me to get in there. Been a 3 month waiting list, and they haven't gotten back with me yet. So maybe we'll have something in there. Remember, a few years ago we had stuff in there, and a lot of you love the coffee tables and some of the other things I did in epoxy resin. And I've done some stuff at church that was pretty quick and easy to do. And people like that too. So that'll be something to think about coming up pretty soon. Hopefully, maybe March 1st that we'll be able to get in there. It's hard to say. Like I said, they haven't gotten a hold of me. March 1st or April 1st, they should have an opening, though, she thought when I talked to her as of late. So those are some of the things to do locally. Let me go back to WLFI. They've got a things to do thing here somewhere too. Closings, delays, contacts, Friday Night Frenzy, watch live. I don't see it here, but I know they have a what to do kind of thing here. The what I was getting the information locally there was from Star City on things to do on theirs. All right, so nationally, what's going on? There's a lots of things going on nationally and worldwide. It seems like we're really close to uh, having a war with Iran. But you know what the war is with Iran for us? It's going to be bombing them. That's the kind of thing. It sure looks like they need to get rid of their leaders in Iran, but their leaders are putting their thumb on people. They've killed as many as 30,000 people. I've heard no less now than 20 to 40,000 is where the average is. So what happens is every time the Iranian people build themselves up, want to get rid of their government, the government comes in, starts shooting people. And that's what happens when you're in a dictatorship, when you're in a communist type dictatorship, and socialists do the same thing. I'm sorry. If you're on that side of the spectrum, that's what your side does. All right. That's famous. It's through history everywhere that this is what they've done. And this is no different in Iran. And Iran, which at one time was called Persia, is a beautiful country. There are a lot of things that all of us have missed out on because this regime took over in 1979 and has put a iron fist on the people there, and the people there are really struggling and have took to the streets. But then they started shooting everybody to get everybody back in their homes, hiding again. So we've decided we may step up and do something, and they are holding talks today over there in the Middle East, trying to figure out what's going on and what will be happening. And maybe we can put a stop to it before the bombs fall, right? But the Iranian regime itself is already setting itself up to flee the country. That's a sign to me that something's going to happen one way or the other. I hope it's for the good and no more people get killed. It would be nice. Wouldn't it be great if we just said, hey, they went in and just said, we're going to leave and we're going to go off to China and live there and let everybody take over. Wouldn't that be great if that's what happened? I know it's not going to happen, but because when people get power, they don't want to give it up, right? And that doesn't matter who you are or where you're at. If you have power, you tend to want to keep that power. And that's what we see in a lot of countries. Not the people in the countries, usually the people running the countries, right? That's how that works. And it's kind of what we're seeing right now over in Iran. I found this story kind of interesting. This Daredevil, he got charged for jumping off the side of Yosemite with a parachute. And I mean, it's his life, but I understand there's reasons you don't do that thing, and he did it with a parachute, but then he posted it everywhere. As soon as you post it everywhere, now you're telling everybody. It's the same thing with, like, Don Lemon. Don Lemon tried to say it was First Amendment, he could do speech and do he's a reporter, but then he posted all kinds of things showing that he wasn't doing that, that he was in amongst the group, and he was just using that as a reason to kinda keep himself safe, and now he's gonna get charged with federal charges for doing something he shouldn't have been doing. This guy, same thing. He knew he shouldn't have been doing this, and then he posted it everywhere. Hey, so federally charges on him. Just kind of goes to show you anything I say on here, I'm sure someone's keeping track of somewhere. Someone's going to care about it somewhere. Brian, they called into feds, and the feds are going to charge him because I missed a weather forecast, right? That's the kind of thing that's going to happen to people eventually someday. Hopefully not, but um, it's just, kind of one of those things where, China has taken over their entire system with cameras, and they keep track of everything that everybody does, and the United States, in the background, is doing the same thing, and we've been doing it since 9/11, basically. We were starting to do it before that, and then it went into overdrive after 9/11, and now they know a lot about what you say and do on any given day and any given time, right? I got to see this one. JD Vance makes jaw-dropping admission when grilled over Trump shooter Thomas Crooks. Okay. So this is the young man who climbed on the building and tried to shoot the president. Let's see what he had to say. He says, JD Vance has admitted that he has no idea why Thomas Crooks tried to kill Donald Trump, despite promising to solve the mystery surrounding the greatest security failing since JFK's assassination. He says, I don't know. The vice president conceded when grilled about Crooks. Now, he's not in the mix of this all the time. He probably gets a brief once in a while, so he doesn't know for sure, just like the rest of us. But just 5 days before the presidential election, Vance had pledged to get to the bottom of the case after Crooks shot Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, Vance blamed Joe Biden's campaign for portraying Trump as a fascist, stating in and all the rhetoric, right? And some of you out there going, that ain't right. But that's exactly what you're doing. You're saying rhetoric on the right is triggering these things. The right is saying what you're saying is triggering these things. And stop it. Just everybody stop it. Let's yeah. Can't we all just get along? That's from the way back in the 90s in my time frame when I was a young man. And he was right. We should just try to get along. But instead, everybody is doing the same thing. There's a power trips on both sides, and our leaders lead us to what we do not know, and that is the problem. So that's where you get into the pastor who comes out and says, "How about you look into God, right? How about Jesus? Follow Him. You follow His path. You do the things He does and the things He wants you to do. You believe in Him, and your path will be fine." You won't worry about these things. And I've noticed that because I've gone through streaks where I've worried about this or that and the other. And why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? I always try to break it down into the simplest possible idea of what something could be. And most of the time, that is the exact answer. I also don't jump to conclusions in the first 24 to 48 hours of something because it always tends to be something else. And it is amazing that within an hour or two of a shooting, that someone is out there screaming about getting rid of this or somebody did this or it's this person's fault or it's that person's fault, right? That is immediately what our why is that? Why our trigger is for people to do that. And then 24 hours later, we find out that person who came out is exactly wrong with what happened, right? So wait, slow down. Don't make the decision so fast, right? I know we're in this fast-paced world, but you don't need to make your decisions so quickly. I would like you to make a quick decision on Jesus, though, and come to Jesus as soon as you can, because we don't know when Jesus will be coming back, and things may the entire world fall apart. We have to be ready for it on every single day. So I guide you towards Jesus. Jesus will guide you to a path which is much quieter, simpler, You stop worrying about all the rhetoric on the outside. You focus more on your family and the people around you. You start helping out those around you also, and life becomes changed and different and fruitful and loving for everything you do when you start to believe in Jesus Christ. So that's one thing I definitely want you to do. And yes, that's the pastor coming out of me right now. Hopefully, most of you have already made that decision. But if you haven't, I've got a great church for you. It's called Innovation. You come on over there. Everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter what's happened to you or what you've done. You can come in the doors and find Jesus in that spot, and we will talk to you and figure out what we can. So, uh, yeah. Oh, well, back to JD Vance after I got off the little soapbox there, right? JD said, I have not gotten a satisfactory answer. So that's why I mean he's getting briefings, right? Of why Thomas Crooks went from radically pro Trump to so radically anti Trump. And he did. And that's in his writing. It shows in his Facebook, all that stuff. Why did he switch over when he was 16, 17, 18 years old? Maybe we will never know the answer to that. Sometimes motivations go unsolved, which is true. That is a possibility. Uh, there were all kinds of things that flew around of why it happened, what happened, and then a few weeks later, another guy was getting ready to do it again in Florida. What's wrong? It's rhetoric, right? Rhetoric. If you keep complaining about the rhetoric from the other side, but you can't shut your mouth yourself, and then things happen and you back away from it, like, whoa, 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 don't say anything, right? And that's what I see on both sides. I see that very clearly. I feel like I'm in the middle, lean to the right. Okay. Some of you are in the middle, lean to the left. Some of you are way left. Some of you are way right. Just depends on where you're at. But sitting here looking in the middle, I can see one side. This is my left, right? Well, I see these people yelling and screaming about all these things and then about what the other side's doing, right? But then when their side does the exact same thing, whoop, shut up. Don't say anything. Get off Facebook. Don't say anything, right? And then the right does the exact same thing. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, look what he did. Oh, shut up. Don't say anything. The internet has made it too easy for you to complain about things you don't like and for you to shut up about things you don't like either. Right. So, how about we all just stop worrying about it, worrying about our lives and the people around us and focusing on that. And I think we're going to find that God will guide us through everything that we need to be guided through on any given day and at any given time. There you go. The pastor spoke. All right, we're at 10 o'clock. Let's hit the quick updates on what the temperature currently is 27 degrees. We've got highs maybe next week approaching 50 degrees on next Tuesday. Let's look at the calendar on here, the longer calendar, real quick. Here's February. Here we are, 35 degrees today, 24 tomorrow. These are, again, just off the computer. I would vary a little bit. I see a little more sunshine tomorrow. It's showing on the 7th. So that 24 could be more like 26. The same thing with the 8th. Maybe 29 is 31 and 39 on Monday with maybe probably 41, 42. I usually bump if I see a little sunshine in there a little bit more because I feel like the models don't always pick it up as well. But I see lots of 30s and 40s in here. Finally, some warmth, right? And then a quick cool down at the end of February. But that is 3 weeks away before we see another cold period. So, yes, we do see some in and out, up and down this next week, right? And then we see kind of a steady trend of temperatures above normal for the rest of the month and then maybe some cold towards the end of the month. Those are just trends, though. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if it goes that way. And here's that long extended period here from today, basically out to the last time we saw the high temperature above normal was January 21st. And before that, it was January 16th. So through from January 16th all the way to today, obviously February 5th, you are talking what? That's 15, that's 20 days, 21 days. We've only seen the high temperature above normal one time, and we may just scratch to it today. We'll be very close to it this afternoon. Predicted high of 35, and the actual average high is 35. But look at this in February. Look how we make the turn up. These black dash line right here is your temperature. I know you can't see it. I'm looking at it. Let me pop it on your screen for you. I don't know why I was talking that way. Sorry about that, guys. We'll go back to it here. Okay, so the bottom dash lines here running this is your arc of cold temperatures on the average for any given time from April on this one to February, right? It's a whole year. And then the top one is your highs. Well, look at this big drop right here in late middle of January to early February, where all your temperatures, and the last time being above normal is this one right here on January 21st. And now maybe scratching up to that 35. But you see how there's a bottoming here during middle to late January where we're the coldest. Now look, we're starting to trend up, and the trend is up from here now, right? It's just going to get warmer. The days are going to get longer with more sunshine, and eventually we'll slowly get into back into the summertime frame. Here we go, where it's just warm all the time. And we'll see lots of these ups and downs during the spring. This is last April, May, and June of this year. And you see lots of that ups, downs, ups, downs, ups, downs. Normal during transition in spring, and again, transition during the fall. Generally in the summer, it's kind of steady, and during the winter, it's kind of steady. And in this case, we had a very prolonged period of cold, and we've had two of them so far this winter. We had one most of December, and then the late December around Christmas when we wanted cold and snow, we didn't have it, into early January, and then it's been very cold since then. And it's still, even with this, only a few of these temperatures are above normal. A lot of them are near or at normal. So it looks like most of the rest of February is going to be about average temperature wise for that. All right, so that's it for now. Try to get out there and get out and about if you can today. Enjoy yourself. Hopefully, the roads are not too bad. I haven't been out on them yet. I still believe there could be some icy patches because of what moved through the area earlier this morning. And the bullseye, as I said yesterday, even though it was on Lafayette, was going to be hard to really hit that spot because it was narrow. That band ended up to our northeast. If you're going up towards Winnemac, Plymouth, South Bend, that way you're going to travel through an inch or two of snow areas and some maybe icy conditions there too. So if you're traveling, keep that in mind. But that is it for our Freaky Friday, our free for all Friday. I like to call it. You call it what you can. Have a great weekend. I'll be back with you on Monday. And if I see anything exciting happening during the week, I'll put out a short and you can pop in and check that out also. So, sounding off for now. We'll see you again on Monday.